What's up, everyone? Bob's Blu-rays here. I'm back again with episode 2 of More Than Movies. Today's topic, we will be discussing bullying. So stay tuned and we'll get right into that right after this intro. All right, everyone. So today, like I said, we'll be discussing bullying, and it does mean a lot to me. It hits really close to home. I struggled with that most of my life, unfortunately, until I kind of got older. So I'm looking forward to discussing this topic. A little bit nervous. There's some things that I say that might bother some people, but first, let me go ahead and say this is my opinion. This is my take. This is from what I experienced. I'm going off of how I feel about bullying. And I'm not necessarily trying to give advice because everybody deals with it differently and everybody feels differently about it, right? If you have kids that struggle with getting bullied, you might feel differently than I would. So let me go ahead, tread carefully on this topic, but I am going to go ahead and dive deep into it and a lot of the experiences I felt in high school and that you could even feel as an adult still, because bullying goes around, unfortunately, at all ages. And it's sad, it's pathetic, and it needs to stop. But let's go ahead and dive into it. As always, I'm going to be grabbing 3 movies. I tried to grab 3 different movies, unlike your typical bullying movies or things like that. So I try to think outside the box. These are movies that I would recommend to most people. I can't promise that you'll like it, obviously, but these deal with bullying in different ways. And I'm just looking forward to diving into it. So let's go ahead and grab the first one here. Let's go ahead and start with Tough Turf. So this is a movie with James Spader. You got Kim Richards in it and a young Robert Downey Jr. as well. I know that quite a few people in the community are big fans of this movie. If you haven't seen it and you enjoy other bullying movies from the 80s, you'll really enjoy Tough Turf. This is a lot of fun. It's a good movie. It deals a lot with bullying. So he is the new kid in town. He comes in and yeah, sure, there's cliche moments and things like that. But he comes in, Kim Richards is dating the gang, the bullies, you know, of the school, of the high school. And he comes in to town and basically pisses them off immediately. He gets bullied very quickly in high school by these people. They destroy his bike. They do a lot of other cruel things. And this one gets pretty violent at times, especially the ending of it. But he has to deal with a lot of that clique in high school. And he obviously falls for the main bully's girlfriend, and eventually she starts to fall for him as well. I don't want to get into too many spoilers about it. I would definitely recommend checking out Tough Turf if you enjoy any movies about bullying. But I can relate to that aspect of it. Unfortunately for me, I just kind of came into high school. I was the wrong size, and I had like sort of a speech impediment, and you know, I'll get more into that in a minute, a little bit later here in this video. But Tough Turf's a lot of fun, and it's just one of those movies where he struggles with getting bullied, and they do some cruel things to him, and he's eventually got to kind of fight back, and it's not going to stop, and they start to do some things to, I believe, you know, family and things like that. It gets really good, especially at the end. It's pretty violent, you know, for a movie like this. But I would recommend that one. So hopefully I explained it well without spoilers. So that's Tough Turf. The next one I wanted to go ahead and discuss, we will talk about The New Kids. Now, another one that quite a few people have seen. This is released by Mill Creek Entertainment. Tough Turf was released by Kino Lorber. So The New Kids, Mill Creek Entertainment, also 101 Films put it out as well. I really enjoy this movie. It's the same director as Friday the 13th, and I believe a movie called Deep Star 6 as well, Sean Cunningham. I really, really, really like this movie. I actually love this movie. A brother and sister, so I have 2 sisters. So this movie hits close to home for me for that reason in particular. So these 2 are brother and sister. and, they move into town. And the bully kind of starts to pick on his sister and him. And they have to fight back. They have to learn to, well, they do know how to defend themselves, but they have to fight back. And it's great. It's a lot of fun as well. You got James Spader in this one, and he actually plays the bully in this. And this is another one that gets really violent towards the end as far as a movie like this goes. And it's a lot of fun, and it's similar to Tough Turf in ways that they have to deal with a lot of crap. He gets some bad things happen to him throughout the movie in high school, things like that. But they fight back, and I just really love this movie in particular, having a sister myself, 2 older sisters. I'm the youngest, no brothers, and I get along really, really well with one of my sisters. And in particular, I don't talk to them as much anymore. The other one and I, we aren't the closest, if I'm just being honest. But I was really close in age with the one sister, just 1 year apart. And I dealt with a lot of the bullying and stuff like that. And my sister always had my back, my sister Erin. So it's really cool. This movie is relatable to me in that aspect, having 2 sisters, but one in particular that always kind of had my back. And I always had her back. And unfortunately, I was small and things like that, so I couldn't really defend myself all that well when I was younger. But love this movie. Like I said, hits close to home. I would recommend this one. It's a lot of fun. It gets pretty violent at times. It's similar to Tough Turf, so if you've seen Tough Turf and you like that, then definitely check this one out. You should like them both if you're into any sort of bullying movies. So in high school, unfortunately for me, I was just small. So I came into my freshman year. I was fine in 7th and 8th grade, didn't get picked on a whole ton at all, really. But moving into a massive school of like 4,800 kids in high school my freshman year, and I'm talking, I don't know. I was probably 5 feet, 5'1", 5'2". I mean, tiny, short, scrawny, super skinny, no muscle at all. I was so young. And then I also had like a speech impediment. So that was always like a huge insecurity of mine. And it turned into one, especially because when you're bullied for a reason in particular, sometimes that'll carry with you. And so for me, it was always, I couldn't pronounce my R's. And now I'm very comfortable talking about it. Wasn't always. And so my sister's name is Erin, and when I would try to pronounce her name, I would like say Eowyn. So a lot of my R's would come out as W's. And like New York was the same thing. Cherry. Like, so the kids would literally, they'd be like, say this word, right? And just to get a rise out of it, just to hear you struggle with pronouncing your R's. So kids will pick on you for any reason. A lot of times you don't even need to do anything. You don't need to instigate it. Kids are just cruel. I don't know why people enjoy bullying people for no reason. It's terrible. It's pathetic. I guess you could be a loner. They see a target because you're small. I'm not sure. But the third and final movie I wanted to get into dives deep. This is a heavy movie. It's in my top 10 favorite films of all time. It doesn't just dive into bullying, but I wanted to pull this movie because I wanted to talk about this movie, and I hopefully can bring attention to this movie. I really, really would love to do a What It Means to Us series on this. And if I only get 2 or 4 people for it, I'm still going to do it because this movie begs to be talked about. At one point, I recommended this movie to a friend of mine. We watched it together. I had come into our screening of it with like bullet points, 2 pages, 50 bullet points. It was like 48 bullet points. And we discussed the movie afterwards for 2 hours, and I'm not joking. So that's like the kind of film nerd I am. But we got Disconnect. I love this movie. This came as a recommendation from my buddy Diego years ago. And I fell in love with it. The credits rolled, and I was sitting there in tears, and I didn't want to move. I was absolutely stunned. I thought this movie was absolutely perfect. It's a masterpiece in every way, shape, and form. It's perfect. It's a perfect movie, seriously. Love Disconnect. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend everybody check this movie out. You don't have to enjoy bullying or anything like that. That's actually a smaller piece of the movie. It's one of those movies where everything kind of comes together, or certain storylines come together towards the end. But it's a really good movie. I absolutely love it. It's heartbreaking, it's sad, it's riveting, it is powerful, inspiring. It's just inspirational, so good, so many things. But this kid right here, he has to deal with bullying. This movie is ahead of its time. We're talking with social media and internet bullying and many other things like that. But yeah, essentially he has to deal with it. He gets picked on. It's all internet bullying. It's kids he goes to school with. They see he's kind of a loner. It's just kids picking on kids, right? They see somebody they could pick on, and so they do it. And Disconnect, I don't want to spoil anything about that movie, but it's heartbreaking. It's sad. He has to deal with it really badly. The internet bullying, sending pictures, things like that, and ending up in the school, right? And like I said, don't want to spoil too much more about it, but internet bullying is another thing, right? We in this community have to deal with, and everybody has to. If you're on YouTube, you have to have thick skin. I talked about this with somebody a while back, unfortunately needing to have thick skin. Coming onto YouTube, you're going to have trolls. You're going to have internet bullies. You're going to have people say stupid crap to you. You're going to have people tell you how to pronounce words. They'll watch an hour-long video of yours and tell you mispronounced something, or that you're a loser, or whatever it is, right? Pick on you for something that you mispronounced or got wrong. And, there's nicer ways to go about it if you want to do things like that. And unfortunately, we all have to deal with it. If you're creating content, you're going to have to deal with it. Some people deal with it better than others. Unfortunately, some don't deal with it well. And look, trolls, like, this is a message if there's trolls or bullies out there watching this, like, some of the crap that people say is very hurtful. And you need to stop, seriously. Not that my words are going to make any difference here necessarily, but it's some of the things that people say can be very hurtful, and words mean something to a lot of people. Like, words can build up, words can destroy, and they could burn bridges and many other things. And some of the things that are said are very hurtful. There's nasty, nasty comments out there. I've been getting trolls lately. I don't know why necessarily. That's okay. I can take it. I'll try and talk about one of the comments in particular was about Tim and I, of course, and just stupid comments. I won't even necessarily repeat some of them, but they're talking about, like, I get picked on for being bald, right? So I love shaving my head. I try to do it every week. I enjoy it. I love having a shaved head. I don't have to worry about it when I get out of the shower. It's perfect to me. So I don't know why people love to, like, that's not something I get bothered by. I smile. I'm like, is that really the best you got? Because I enjoy it. So unfortunately, though, they start talking about racism. I got called a Jew in a comment section the other day. I woke up to like 5 different comments on my videos from a troll, and some of them were a little bit uglier than others. So you got to deal with things like that, unfortunately, and some people don't deal with it well. And when you had to deal with it when you were younger, it's very difficult, right? Because you might be hearing the same things you dealt with when you were younger, and then you come here to have a good time and you unfortunately get trolls. But that happens, unfortunately. I wanted to talk about another thing here. So when it comes to bullying, a lot of the things that people are picking on people for, like being bald, for example. Now, that doesn't bother me, but it could bother other people, right? Some people hate it. Some people don't want to be bald. That's out of their control. Yes, there's things you can do to help with that, but picking on people for things that are out of their control. We're talking having a big nose, a small nose, big lips, their eyes are a certain color, their eyebrows are big ears, their chin, their face, their forehead's big, they're too skinny, they're too overweight. Like, these are things, so many people get picked on for things that are out of their control, that they cannot control. And why? You're picking on people for race, like being a certain skin color. It's ridiculous. It needs to stop. It's pathetic. It's sad. And unfortunately, it's not going to stop more than likely. And I think it is the reason we see a lot of bigger issues outside in schools and things like that is because of bullying. Kids just snap eventually. I also want to talk about one thing in particular, and this might bother some people, but is going to be understanding when to walk away and when to stick up for yourself or fight back, right? So this is it could be a hot topic for some parents out there or kids that were bullied or anything like that. I hear a lot of people say walk away, just keep walking away, right? And then some people will say stick up for yourself or fight back, don't throw the first punch or throw the first punch, always be the one to finish it, right? There's a lot of different things people will say out there. For me, I never fought back when I was younger. So like freshman year, I kind of did, but I was so small. I was always getting my ass kicked. Like it didn't matter what I did to fight back. I was tiny. I didn't know how to fight. I didn't know how to defend myself. So I had to deal with that. But as I got older, I started to realize I wanted to like defend myself. I wanted to fight back. And I walked away a lot of times. I tried to, right? I tried not to let it bother me. I don't like that advice. Now, I know if you're telling your kids not to fight back, I get it, right? Like my mom, so here's the thing. My mom was always the one who said, don't fight back, walk away, right? My dad was the one who said, stick up for yourself and fight back. So maybe it's a guy thing, but I always wanted to fight back. I wanted to stick up for myself. It never worked out me walking away. It didn't get any better. The kids still picked on me. And so for me, like, I'm not necessarily giving advice, but I'm in the boat of stand up for yourself, fight back. Like, I'm not saying necessarily throw the first punch. If you can walk away, always walk away. I do believe that. But unfortunately, a lot of times, some of the stuff that's said or the bullying, it gets to be so much sometimes, and it's hard to walk away, and it takes a toll on you. I'm in the boat, like I said, of stand up for yourself. So my dad won Golden Gloves when he was like in high school, like 18 or 19 years old. So eventually I asked my dad to teach me how to stick up for myself, to teach me how to fight, to teach me how to box and things like that. And he did. And one day in high school, I was probably like a junior. I waited a while. I went to one of the kids' houses. And the funny thing is I knocked on the door, rang the doorbell. His parents were so nice, super friendly. Clearly, they probably didn't know his kid was a bully. I don't know. But I was like, is Kevin here? And they opened the door and they were like, yeah, no problem. Would you like to come in? And super nice, like I said. So I was like, okay. So I walk in. He comes up the stairs. He's in the basement. He walks up the stairs. He's in absolute shock to see me standing in his house, right? I was like, let's go outside and talk. And I basically threatened him. I was like, and it didn't matter if I could fight or not, or if I'd get the crap kicked out of me. I just had to stick up for myself, right? I had to defend myself. So I was like, it stops. It stops here. I told him, I'm done taking it. Like, if you continue to pick on me, I remember saying, I'm going to beat the shit out of you in front of everybody. And once again, didn't matter if I could. I just had to stick up for myself. And sometimes in those moments, like, the adrenaline gets flowing, things like that. But yeah, I went over to that kid's house. It got a lot better after that. It did. And obviously, once they were seniors and I was junior, so once they graduated, it was all fine. But yeah, sometimes you got to stick up for yourself. And one last thing I want to talk about. So in Disconnect, in this movie here, the father and even the mother and the sister of the kid that's getting bullied, especially the father, which is played by Jason Bateman, he was like absent in his kid's life in a way. He wasn't always there. He didn't see it. And he didn't really do anything about it until later on, you know. And so I guess what I'm saying is, to any parents out there, talk to your kids. You never know what's going on. You might not see it, but your kids might be struggling. They might be getting bullied. They could be struggling with anything, right? So talk to your kids. Make the time to have that conversation. Be there for your kids. Make sure that your ears are always open for them and that they're comfortable being able to come to you, whether it's a father or a mother. I just hope every kid out there has somebody to talk to. Unfortunately, principals and schools don't do a lot about it, I feel like. But it also happens as you get to be an adult. you got to deal with things like that, unfortunately. So I just wanted to say I'm always on Instagram all the time. My DMs are always open. If you're struggling, like, these topics that I discuss, the idea and the goal is to hopefully make a difference, even if it's just in one person's life. And that's all I ever want to do, right? I want to make a difference. I don't want to just be up here talking for no reason. And if you're struggling, if you need somebody to talk to, reach out to me. I'm not going to tell you what to do or what not to do. That's not for me to decide. But I can be there and listen. And I've struggled with it myself. I went through it, unfortunately. And I just want to be able to help people if you wanted to reach out. So, and I'm sure there's other people that would love to help. I'm sure people have a story. Hopefully this sparks a conversation. But yeah, I just hope it stops. I hope things get better. If you can walk away, walk away. That's always the best option. But unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't get better. I feel like kids just love to pick on you. It doesn't matter whether you walk away or not. So I know I went on a long tangent. I rambled quite a bit today. I hope, like I said, I hope this video reaches out to somebody out there. Unfortunately, a lot of us have to struggle with bullying. I've talked to a lot of people in this community that dealt with it. I've even talked to some friends who said, you know what, I was the bully. And that could spark a conversation as well. So please reach out to somebody if you're struggling with it really badly. It's a terrible thing to live with and not be able to talk to anybody about. And some people don't even know you're struggling or getting bullied. So please reach out to somebody. And like I said, I could always be that person you reach out to. Like I said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Next week, we'll be discussing the third episode. Still working on the topic. I've got a list of topics to discuss, some a lot more personal than others, and I just want to tread carefully with each and every topic and make sure I know what I'm saying and I'm prepared for what to say. So thank you so much to everybody who tuned in here for episode 2, and I will see everyone on the next one.